Why don't we begin? What you have, I've asked Marwan to distribute a copy of the 5 proposals, or the 5 proposed projects, and that's in front of you, that I'm going to be working on here initially at UMT. And this involves, of course, the investigation of fish scales, that significant work has been done in that area by our premier scientists here, Professor Wahid and Tiru, have done a lot of work on that. And one of the reasons that I selected this project is there's synergy with what they've done with regard to a present project I have in progress that is related to this. I only have a few of these brochures. Maybe you could share them and pass them around. And I would ask you to leave them when you leave, because I only have this many until Marwan has had the chance to make me a bunch of them. But if you would, distribute them. The synergy with the fish scales and the way that it's been developed by Fendi and Tiru is they now have a new kind of spray. And the spray is essentially a liquid bandage. And it is completely different from other products out there, such as skin, synthetic skin that is pasted or painted on a wound. They have a spray that has an extremely high collagen content. Well, this product that I developed for the U.S. Army for that's described in those brochures there, I call FTK9, which is a field trauma kit for canines and other animals. This is an anti-hemogenic that stops bleeding, instantaneously stops bleeding. Now, I use an active component in there that's been around since mud. Literally, it is mud. What attracted me to this project and integrating the fish scales is that the collagen is not only a beautiful and flexible biopolymer, but their delivery system in terms of the aerosol is very attractive to the U.S. Army. And not only to the U.S. Army, but everyone could be benefited. Military organizations, anybody that has a dog. Back in the United States, I have dogs. I have big dogs and little dogs. I have dogs. And occasionally they'll go out in the woods or in the stream and they cut their toe, their pad. And when they do that, they bleed profusely because they're extremely, they've got a lot of blood here. They're extremely vascular. You know, dogs run. So the majority of the blood supply comes into the extremities that they need to walk and run. And they bleed profusely. This material is designed to stop that bleeding. That's called the FTK9. The market-ready version is going to be called Poochie Peds, because dogs in America are called Poochie. Come on, bring your Poochie over. So, we're going to be integrating that technology into the next generation of this particular product, which is already patent pending, and that begets more IP. Intellectual property increases the patent position for everyone involved who are called stakeholders. In this case, it'll be me, our company, and everybody affiliated with this then becomes a stakeholder and shares in that development of the new intellectual property. When you develop new intellectual property, you create an entity that can be commercialized and bring money in. And the goal of all of these things, in my opinion, first and foremost, I'm a scientist. I love science, but I like money too. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of healthy greed. And there's nothing wrong with doing your science and being the best in your science and then turning that into a product that everybody needs and uses. And that's essentially what I do. If I can do that, guess what? You can do that too. If I can have a guy walk up to me and hand me a check for $5 million, guess what? You can do that too. It's not easy, but you can do it. If you stick to it, you can do it. Okay, fish scales. We're going to do the fish scales. We also have project number 2 is the eco-friendly oil spill cleanup product, which is the next generation that we call contact. This is the material here. This consists of beeswax and micronized feedstock. When I say feedstock, you know, here in Malaysia and through the islands in Southeast Asia, we've got a lot of feedstock, and it's the varieties and the species, and each one of them do something different. This one here, back in the United States, simply because we've got so much of this particular feedstock that is called Bahia straw. It has a protein and nutrient content that's ideal as fodder for animals, deer, cows, pigs, you name it, they can eat this stuff. It also has the ability to produce a biofilm when exposed to hydrocarbon-containing compounds. The biofilm, and we have it, we've made the biofilm, but we haven't characterized it yet. You geniuses here are going to do that. All of you people who are affiliated with the laboratories, you're going to do that. We're going to characterize that because our opinion and the studies show us that it is better than Teflon. Everybody knows what Teflon is, huh? Everybody uses Teflon. This stuff we believe is better. We need to characterize it, synthesize it, use it, put it into the production channel, get it out there in use. And we can do that, and we're going to do that. But to give you an idea of eco-friendly oil spill cleanup products, in 1989, I was finishing my master's degree at the Military College of Vermont, where I was a NASA scholar. I worked with NASA for over 35 years. I designed the onboard fluid recovery systems used in the space shuttle, in the fueling systems used in the shuttle fleet, the waste elimination systems that are used in spacesuits. You know, everyone's wondered, what happens when the astronauts have to go number one or number two? Well, it really is a miracle of design how we did that, and it all has to do with, we changed the atmosphere within the spacesuit, and it's real easy. Once you drop that atmosphere 1 or 2 bars, stuff goes right off your body. It takes everything right off your body. It's the slickest thing you have ever seen. So we've got 4 or 5 different layers in this suit, each one of them getting progressively smaller, okay, as the materials are evacuated, so to speak. And everybody's seen the astronauts, and they've got this big thing that's on their back. They've changed the spacesuits, by the way. They've got what looks like a backpack, a square backpack. Inside that square backpack, there's a little oven, and it takes all the excrement, and it takes all the anything that you avoid, and it processes it, and it turns it into a little cube about that big each time. There's a little micro compressor in there, and presses all. It's really slick. Imagine, if you will, okay, everyone has gone to the grocery store and you've purchased a brick of coffee, okay? Coffee has a brick. Well, when the guys are done and they come back from mission control and debrief and all that stuff, there's a little package in there that looks like a brick of coffee. And that is from 2 weeks in space. So, and the water from the urine is reprocessed and used as part of the drinking water on the space shuttle and on the space station. So it's great science. It's great science, and it's actually a testament as to the capability that man can accomplish if we can rise to the level of collaboration, put all the other crap aside, and just do the science. Just do the science. Forget about wars, forget about money, forget about religion, politics. Put all that stuff, leave it outside. Come in here, you want to do science? We do science here. We don't do that other stuff. Those guys fighting out there with each other, they do that. You want to do science? Come in here and we'll do science. The rest of that, we don't want to hear. But anyhow, with that said, you'll get a kick out of this. Some of you may have seen this one. Let me see. Okay. This was shown on the Discovery Channel. Oh, it's been shown repeatedly over the last, I want to say 15, 16 years anyhow. But here we go.
Calls only on Mother Nature to clean up after it. And although it's made up of spheres less than 100 microns across, it can absorb 20 times its own weight. It can also be packaged to suit your specific need.
That's this stuff here.
Its individual particles may be the smallest spin-off from NASA research. But this wonder powder, called PRP, has huge potential.
PRP stands for Petroleum Remediation Product, and it's used in various applications, basically to clean up petroleum hydrocarbon accidents. And they're oleophilic, which means they bind with the hydrocarbon on contact, Once the oil is absorbed by the PRP, it stays there, it won't leach out, and there's no collection necessary. Once you put the PRP down, it'll do its job, it's biodegradable.
What may sound like a huckster's sales pitch is the real deal. From the bilge system in your boat, to rail yards and parking lots, to that grease spot in your driveway. PRP busts grime using zero elbow grease and an innovative technology discovered in zero gravity. PRP powder is actually made up of tiny hollow beads called microspheres. NASA researchers discovered them in 1992 by accident during an experiment aboard a plunging KC-135. In the weightless environment like that seen here, an effort to grow liquid crystals resulted instead in bubbles of air trapped within tiny crystalline spheres. NASA later developed other methods of producing them, and workers at Universal Remediation have studied these techniques to manufacture PRP. They make their microspheres using a single active ingredient, ordinary beeswax.
When we make product, we'll use a ton of this kind of material. This comes directly from the beehives. So natural that if you remember as a child when you had the fang teeth, this is what it's made from.
To make PRP, beeswax in a giant vat is melted at over 200 degrees Fahrenheit.
We then drop it into a pressurized tank and pressurize it to over 250 pounds per square inch. And then we run it through the atomizer to create the little spheres and the powder. We refrigerate the housing and bring it down so that when it's dropping, and it has a drop of about 10 feet, when it reaches the floor, it's cool enough so it won't congeal.
That's called a
and it'll stay as a fine powder. And then we take it and remove it from the collection bin and then put it in the various products.
Beeswax contains nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, ingredients which make it a food source for naturally occurring microorganisms. In the event of an oil spill, PRP can be spread directly onto the slip. The beeswax spheres are 18% hydrocarbon, so they absorb oil and reject water, which allows them to float. Hungry microorganisms already present in the environment dine on the beeswax buffet. The population of microorganisms thrives and multiplies. As they feast, the microbes release waste enzymes, which break down and neutralize the hydrocarbons. But you don't need a microscope to see PRP in action. Its effectiveness is clear in this common usage, cleaning a boat's bilge system.
Shake that up to show how PRP will bind or encapsulate the oil in the bilge and bring it to the surface of the water where it'll stay absorbed until naturally occurring microbes biodegrade.
What he just demonstrated there is the phenomenon that happens at sea when you have a release of free product. It's called moosing. When the oil is spilled, for example, the BP oil spill, tons and tons of oil, it comes to the surface and is exposed to the environmental conditions, wind, wave action, energy, and it causes what's called moosing. So you'll get, maybe you've been at the beach one time and you've seen what looks like foam floating, okay? Well, that is a result of some contaminant, so you never want to go near the foam, okay? As much as it looks nice, it's some kind of contaminant that has some hydrocarbon component in it, because it's the hydrocarbon component that